Hello, hello, hello. It is day 13 of 21 for 21 days of celebration. I hope you are doing well, had a good day, had a good weekend. So, we are almost done. One more week. Very, very close. And let's see. Today I wanted to talk about mindset. So, today I am grateful. This is kind of I don't want to say a hodgepodge, but it's kind of a hodgepodge. But I'm titling it mindset because I realize that's not really how it started, but how it ended up. So, what I mean by that is, this started out as, I'll say, a law of attraction journey. And I was working with, I don't know if she would have been called a manifestation coach. I don't actually remember what her title was. It's one of those people that you kind of stumble upon. I've got a lot of stumble upons in my journey. But you know you're in the right place because you're stumbling upon things. You're following your nudges. You're following your breadcrumbs. So it's this coach that I was working with stumbled upon, and she had this group where I signed up for a newsletter because I saw, a thing. And then I think I clicked on a link and then I started watching these video clips of Abraham Hicks. Now, if anyone's heard of Abraham Hicks, you know they're notorious for law of attraction. Of all of the universal laws, law of attraction is their primary wheelhouse, their primary area of teaching. And I had heard about law of attraction before learning about Abraham Hicks because I knew about The Secret. I was given the book The Secret as, I don't know, I think I was in high school, maybe. And I actually still have the book today. And I remember thinking, okay, interesting. We create things. We can create our reality. And that actually scared me at the time. Like, it was really, really scary, kind of that level of responsibility. And I wasn't fully bought into it. Um, I didn't believe that I could have that much control. And it just, something about it sounded a little sketchy. But that's okay. We got over it. So I was working with this woman, with this coach, as I said, stumbled upon Abraham Hicks, and there was something so kind of welcoming, warm, and me wanting more because this was kind of my first foray into new types of thinking, like new belief systems, and not necessarily asking questions, but just thinking a little bit differently, and not in a like scholastic or academic, strategic thinking sort of perspective, but really outside of the box, challenging the norm of, you know, being stuck, not having any control. There's a lot of empowerment and realizing that there are things that you can do in your life to be happy. And for the longest time, I mean, like many of us, like I just wanted to be happy. I didn't know how, I didn't know what that meant, I didn't know what it looked like, but I knew I would know happy when happy presented itself. Whenever it showed up, I would know happy. So I felt comfort in their words. I felt comfort and release and relief in listening to what they had to say. And there were so many days where I needed words like that because I didn't have anybody else to kind of give like the uplifting and the motivational type thing. So this was 2000, I'll say 2007, and there was 2007. anywhere between 2006 and 2008, I'll say. And there was, I don't want to say a lot going on, but there were some things going on because I had I just entered the workforce, like corporate workforce, and it was a completely new ball game for me. Um, just lots of shifts, lots of just figuring things out because it was just a completely different world from anything that I knew. So I had a lot of adjustments, and there was a lot of doubt, there was a lot of imposter syndrome, there was a lot of just questioning, am I good enough? Should I be here? All of these people are so different. Maybe I shouldn't have made this decision. And yeah, it was tough, but we figured it out. We made some things happen and learned some really good lessons. But when it all came down to it, mindset and support were two really, really big things that I needed to work on and then also just needed in my life. So enter this woman, this coach, and then enter Abraham Hicks and law of attraction like teachings. And like I said, it was really comforting hearing things like, you know, positive thoughts and intending to have a good thing happen and really training yourself to work through an issue or work through a problem or conversation with someone and have more confidence in your ability to navigate the situation but also to recover from the situation if you needed to, and really learn more about people in a way that I hadn't known before. So there are several things that um, stick with me even until today, um, about Abraham Hicks' teachings that I constantly remind myself. So I used to sit, because because the words were so comforting and kind of the messages. And if you don't know, so they it used to be kind of a big like ballroom type setting where someone would get on the stage, or Esther Hicks would get on the stage, and she would take questions from the crowd as Abraham, and people were dealing with everyday things and trying to navigate difficult situations, and they received such practical but profound guidance, and in a really loving, kind of tough love kind of way. And hearing the way that these solutions were described to these people was, like I said, comforting. It was a mindset shift for me and really just helped me get through. Like when, iPods were big, like I was the queen of my iPod. Like I always had headphones in, and music still to this day, like gets me through everything. So I would sit for, multiple hours a day. Like I would sit and listen to Abraham Hicks recordings while at work. Like that kept me calm. That kept me stable during the day. I would, listen to them at home. I would listen to them in a car. And it was very just emotionally healing. But it taught me a lot because it let me know that there was more out there for me. And there were more things that I could access if I allowed myself to believe that they were possible and accessible to me. So one of the statements, there's two statements that always just stick with me, where they're kind of motivational, kind of not, but it's really kind of a perspective shift. And these are two statements that really got me to think and analyze a little bit differently than I had. So it's like a completely different way of thinking and operating with these two statements because it makes you really, really look. And then there's also tools, all sorts of tools that they have that you can apply to any given situation to work your way around it to get from a place of I'm really, really frustrated, I'm, stuck in question to I've talked myself down, I'm off the ledge, I now have answer. So one of the phrases, one of the statements is you can never get it done, you can never get it wrong. And this for me took a little bit to sink in because as a perfectionist, as someone who always achieved high, even overachiever, I wanted perfection. I wanted it all. I wanted it to be done right. I wanted to be first. If I wasn't the winner or at least second place, then something was wrong. I had to find a way to make things a competition. I had to be, successful by whatever measure that meant, and I had to go the highest and achieve the most just because. Like that was just hardwired into me. So not being able to get it done and not being able to get it wrong was really frustrating because I wanted to get things done. I wanted to have a finite line in the sand of this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to do to get there, and when I'm there, I will know it. So that's the get it done part. The get it wrong was, well, what do you mean I can't get it wrong? Like there's a right and there's a wrong. Like you either get it done or you don't get it done. Where is this coming from? So that mindset switch for me was what they're really saying is you're always on the right path. You're always on the right path. So just take the action and learn whatever lesson and then take the action, take the next step, learn the lesson and take another step. You don't have to beat yourself up if you don't reach some, ideal destination that probably doesn't exist in the first place. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow because again, I was, overachiever. I wanted a destination. I wanted, the top of the mountain. And if I didn't, what was wrong with me? And really sitting with, I can't get it done, but I also can't get it wrong. There's a level of surrender. There's a level of flow. There's a level of taking the pressure off because I don't have to arrive at a certain place to then justify my existence. I don't have to achieve a certain level to then, demand a certain level of respect or, what have you. Like there is no arrival. You just are. You just be. And I actually just said that phrase earlier today. Can't get it done, can't get it wrong. I said it in my class last weekend. You can't get it done, you can't get it wrong. There's so much freedom in that because you take the pressure off of yourself to constantly be on and just breathe. So for me, that mindset shift was I don't have to be, pedal to the metal all the time. I can take the scenic route, and that's still okay because I'm still taking action. And I'm probably going to learn some really cool things along the way. Probably going to meet some cool people. Probably, going to learn a whole bunch and grow and expand, and eventually I'll get to whatever I'm supposed to get to. Or what I thought I was supposed to get to is actually way too limited than what I'm actually supposed to get to. So I'll get there and it's going to be even better than I could have imagined. So that's their spin on having to achieve and having to arrive and having to stress and having to, focus on, some destination. And it's not to say like don't have goals, don't have dreams. Like I absolutely have those. Don't have plans. It's give yourself the grace and the space for the flexibility and don't force it. They also have a term where they say when you're forcing or efforting, all hell breaks loose because you're trying to force things against, you know, what the energetics want, what the cooperative components and the, universe ultimately has in store for you, because you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And it doesn't work like that. So that's the first phrase that like flipped my world upside down. The other phrase was, or is, everything is always working for me. So everything is always working for me is really powerful because it forces you to take a step back and look at every situation and really see all of the components that are like in the situation. So like almost pulling yourself out, looking at it as an observer, and even as like a game board, if you want to, like a game of Battleship or something. But taking a step back and saying, okay, everything is always working for me. What actually is going on here that if someone, weren't in the throw and thick of it, what would they see? So what are both sides, what are all sides? And then what am I missing? Because I'm so fixated on what I'm seeing in my feelings and all these things. I'm so fixated on something, so therefore I may be missing something else. Let me take myself back and look to see what's actually at play here. Because just because we don't think something is working out for us, as I just said a minute ago, doesn't mean it isn't working, doesn't mean it's not working out. If everything's always working out, then there's got to be a lesson, there's got to be there's got to be a silver lining, there's got to be something to be grateful for. There's got to be, a lesson that I need to learn, or a piece of information that I need before I can actually get to the next step. So also having this perspective shift of, okay, if everything is working out for me, then I don't have to worry that I'm doing something wrong because I can't get it done, I can't get it wrong. There is no failure. If everything's working out for me, then if I just try and just see what happens, then I'll learn something in the process and maybe do something different later. If everything's always working out for me, then maybe now isn't the time and I am supposed to do something else first. So thinking about, and like the whole point of this, and having gratitude for what is before you. So not only being able to take a step back and kind of be that observer, but actually being present to what is in front of you as well. So being able to not have the distractions and say, again, what are all of the pieces? What are, what's going on? And really saying, okay, if everything's working out for me, what's the good, what's the bad, what's the ugly? What am I really working with? And what's the benefit? What is the silver lining here? What can I be grateful for in this situation? And by switching that, now what can I see? Am I trying to force something where it doesn't need to be forced? Am I overlooking something? Am I making an excuse for doing something when I really want to do, something else? Being able to kind of ask those questions gives you insight to do a little bit of digging and inquiry into what is actually going on with you. So these two statements, these two kind of questions, really, really just changed my way of thinking, because it opened up so much by way of what else am I missing? What am I missing? What else is possible? And then seeing that if I'm operating with a limited perspective on, what is possible with, how I think about myself, about other things, then how does that impact myself and other people? how does that impact my dreams and my, you know, ability or perception of ability to get there? So I'm grateful for these questions. I'm grateful for all the tools that, you know, I've learned through Abraham Hicks, because I I don't know where I'd be. Like my mind was not in a good place when it came to dreaming and taking action. I've always kind of been, you know, go where the wind blows type of person. Like you just go and you figure it out, and if it feels good, then great. But having tools to go along with that and dissect a situation and not force and ask questions about what's really going on versus just going with what people tell you and using your intuition about whether something feels good or, you know, not so comfortable, that that is invaluable. they they talk about emotions as the primary guidance of how you're feeling and where you're going. And, you know, I said my vocabulary of emotions was like 5 a few days ago. So I was coming from a place where emotions just, that was not my language. So they've also helped me not only from a, and this all does fit with mindset, because it's awareness of where you are with your emotions. So I actually did this morning. So I I was talking to someone, and they said something and I was upset by it, but I didn't really understand why. And there was like an awkward moment, because they were like, "Oh crap, what did I do? I upset you. I made you mad." And I was like, "No, no. Let me figure this out, because this is coming from somewhere." You know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. I just would have sat there frustrated and been mad at them. And because of these tools, I said, no, I need to take accountability and responsibility to understand why I'm reacting the way that I am to what you said. So, because my emotions were a certain way, because I reacted a certain way, let's walk this back. So I was able to say, all right, my reaction was blah, blah, blah. What I was thinking in my head was blah, blah, blah. And, this is what you said. So we were able to, well, I was able, because I needed to do it for myself. I was able to piece together kind of the statement, the thoughts in my head, my reaction, the emotions, and then say, okay, I actually don't need to feel like this, but here's why. And I was able to, work through it. But again, the mindset of having the thought to ask a question and say, okay, where is this coming from? And then how do I shift from it? So another thing, so again, like the whole emotions are your guidance system. They're really good at, how do I get out of this? How do I feel even 1% better? I don't have to go from complete fear and sadness and depression to exaltation and gratitude and full unconditional love. Like, you can't get there from there. You just can't get from one side to the other. So how do I get from, this confused, weird state to the next rung up on the ladder? What is the next rung up on the ladder? Okay, well, what's the next rung? Okay, well, how do I work through this? So listening to them work through that with other people has taught me to do that for myself. And then I, now help other people do that in their own lives. So these tools, like I said, have been invaluable, because now I have the vocabulary to use for myself and the tools to use for and with myself to understand how I'm feeling when certain things come up, and it helps people, other people understand how I'm feeling and how I communicate, but also can help them with their people as well. But I'm extremely grateful for that because I just didn't have that before. I just didn't have that. Like, how many of us are actually taught to ask the questions and work through those things and give ourselves permission to feel and inquire about the feelings and then, offer a set of tools to work through them and believe that other things are possible. I I just didn't have that. I don't know how many people did. Um, by working with the clients that I do, not all of us did. So I will say that these things have been invaluable for me. Invaluable. So I'm grateful today for mindset, the shift in mindset that I've had through Abraham Hicks primarily because that's how it started. Like I said, I listened to them every day for years, 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 years. And I still go back to them every so often when I need a little pick me up or, a phrase pops in my head. I'm like, hey, I haven't heard that in a while. Let me, go listen to something. Um, it's so helpful. It can be so helpful if you don't you don't have other tools or if you just don't know where to go. Um, yeah, and they're so quick, so simple, so quick, and easy to apply. So that's why I think they resonated with me and why I found them helpful to pass on to others. So today I'm grateful for mindset shifts. I'm grateful for tools to work through issues when I have them, little emotional meltdowns when I have them. And I am wondering if you have tools that you use. If you are an Abraham Hicks fan as well, let me know. Any wins, any stories that you have to share. I am interested to know. So I will see you tomorrow.